Dr. Big L PhD. Thank you so much for checking this video out. This is for, I got so many different channels going here. LMH Consulting Services, talking about a controversial issue. I know this is a controversial issue. I know that this is a controversial issue, but I think it's worth discussing. And that is the issues of false allegations of rape. Now this, or sexual assault. Now this is a podcast by the Whatever Podcast, and it's called, I can't put it on the screen here. Well, I can, I guess, but it's not on the screen. Ex-cop exposes this about abuse claims. And let me see if I can pull it up so you can see it. So you can, yeah, about abuse claims, right? The Whatever Podcast. I catch these clips. I don't sit there and watch them from front to back. I think a lot of this is a lot of people grifting and trying to really take advantage of the naivete of a lot of younger ladies. And, you know, I think some of it has some beneficial rewards to it. But I think that overall, it really just comes off as a bunch of guys, older guys who are trying to, you know, kind of beat up on, for lack of a better term, some younger ladies and trying to school them. And they're not really in a place to listen. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But anyway, so I want to make this more geared towards police related issues. So I want to talk about this. This guy, Brandon Tate, has a pretty sizable following on YouTube, and I think probably some other platforms as well. Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't agree with, but on this subject, I think he's dead on, spot on. And that's the issue of sexual assault and its reporting. Now, I'm going to cover some material a little bit later, but as a police officer, I'm going to tell you that we often get reports that are just concerning sexual assault, particularly date rapes or stranger rapes, in particular stranger rapes, that are just false. And you know, police departments won't acknowledge this, or they won't. You know, it's a difficult topic because of the way that the world is going, particularly in the West, and they don't want to hear it, and believe all women and Me Too movements, which I think really has some credibility to it. But you can't go from those instances to believe all women, because women lie, men lie, children lie, older adults lie. they lie, right? So we'll hear it. It's only like 4 minutes, so we'll play through it. I'll stop it from time to time, or maybe I'll chop it up and fast forward, and I'll give you my honest opinion about what I think he got right, and I don't think there's much that he got wrong. And I'll tell you some of my experiences, some friends of mine. And again, you're not going to get this from police departments. They're not going to, even if someone would respond to this video, they'd be like, "Oh no, he's exaggerating. He's not really that way. We take all complaints seriously," which they should, and which I did, and which I know other officers are. I'm not saying that they don't take them seriously. I'm just saying that once you seriously start digging into the text messages, into the videos, into their stories, and this, that, and the other, they all start falling apart. And I'm being hyperbolic when I say all, but it's darn near all. Brandon Tate is going to say something like 99%. I don't think it's that high. But I certainly think, and when it has to do with stranger, I was kidnapped and held at knife point, and there are a lot of them are false. Even the date rapes, the date situations, I can't see, because of the investigations, right? And there's always a changing and evolving goalposts and all this kind of stuff. So this is unpopular. I'm not making this to say that police officers shouldn't investigate it, that there's never any sexual assaults. I have a daughter. I don't want her to deal with that. I have a daughter who wants to be able to go on dates and live freely. I want you as a young lady, or your sister or your brother, whatever, or whoever, to be able to move freely. I get all that. But to Brandon Tatum's, to Officer Tatum's point, is that the false people and the negative press that the false people get really taints and discourages the true people who are out there really being victimized. Let's get into it.
Yeah, Bender the Offender. Brian, what are your thoughts on the situation with the ML pitcher Trevor Bauer? It is a false accusation case that shows just how some women can be pure evil. I saw the video. I actually reached out to him to see if he wants to be on the show and maybe do a one-on-one interview. So I didn't fully review the thing. But it sounds to me like false accusation ruined his career. It sounded like
I did a video about it earlier. I did
it.
some research on it. The woman apparently set him up from the very beginning. She knew how much his net worth was. She got caught texting a friend about how she's going to take advantage of him. She leveraged rough, you know what, I don't know if I can say that on your thing, but she leveraged rough play with the man, and she told him, hey, hit me harder and all this other stuff while they were doing the stuff. And she leveraged that to act as if he beat her, and then she made these accusations. He lost his position. He had a $100 million contract. They suspended him for 2 years. He was out of the MLB, and then it just came out that he was innocent. Women do this. I'll say this, and it's very unfortunate. When I was a cop, 99% of the allegations of misconduct, sexually assault, and all that stuff were all fake. It's really unfortunate that women who actually that stuff happened to, they don't report it. But some women that do report it, they lie about it. And in my career, I only had 2 real cases.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna pause right there. It is unfortunate because a lot of times it is false. I can remember a situation, and listen, there's many that I could do. And he said in his career, I don't think he was there that long. I think he was there for like 5 years. I was there for a long time. And I still can't remember more than 2 or 3 that was actual real, we got to go get this guy. And one of them I investigated, right? It was a real guy who really, and it was his wife, he had really beat her up, put some serious marks on her. And she said that he did this, that, and the other to me. And I had to go do his job and get him. And arrest him, and he actually did it. You know, that was one of the cases. So I'm saying that it happens. It absolutely happens. But there was another case where this, you know, and he's going to get into, you know, why they do this and all that. But one of them has, you know, this is years ago. You know, so maybe in 2024, as I record this, things and times have changed a little bit. But there was a case. Gosh, there was a white lady. She's probably in her 30s or so. She's going through a divorce. Her ex-husband had brought home their child together, the child that they had together to their house earlier than planned. Let's just say it was a day earlier, maybe a few hours earlier. I think it was a day earlier. Maybe he's supposed to bring it back on Sunday. He brought it back on Saturday or something like that. And they hear all this noise coming from the back room, and they go into the back room. The child go in the back room, and the mother's there with 2 black guys. And she starts screaming rape. Oh my God, they're raping me. I shouldn't say that. They're essaying me. They're, you know. So we had to, you know, they call us. We get there, you know, and, you know, we do an investigation. It turns out it wasn't the case that, you know. But, you know, you're talking about the baseball player there. I didn't really follow that story too much. But that happens all the time. It happened all the time. I can't tell you, people, you know, I worked a midnight shift for a long time, and people would call up and say, I was driving down the street and some guy asked me for directions, and next thing I know, he starts essaying me, and it was really just drug interactions that had gone wrong and all kind of stuff like that. So, again, I'm not saying that police officers shouldn't take it seriously. And this is why there's so much hedging that I'm doing even right now. There's so much hedging they have to do that, and I'm saying that they should take it seriously. They should investigate it fully. And the people who are really being victimized out here are so reluctant to come forward. I actually think that they're probably so reluctant to come forward because they blame themselves. I put myself in this position. How did I not see it coming? Maybe it was a close on. There's so much internal psychological processing going on there that they really don't do it. And the people who do come forward with it are more than likely lying because, not saying they're all doing it. I'm not being absolutist about this, but more than likely lying because of divorce settlements, because they don't want to embarrass their children, because they just met this person, because of racial interactions, because of regret, because they don't want to get pregnant, because of whatever. So, you know, it is a thing. We'll finish off with Tatum.
And I had a detective sergeant that was in investigation for 10 years or 15 years, never had a single legitimate case. So it's fortunate that some women do things like that.
Yeah, never had a single legitimate, can you imagine that? Detective for 10 to 15 years, whatever it was. Let's just give him a low number. 10 years. And never had a single legitimate case of a sexual assault. And I'm not talking about kids because those are more than likely, always true. But they're always true because kids can't give consent. But listen, I can tell you that all the cases that I was involved in as my own investigating officer, that I knew that had gotten referred to the detective bureau, that I was a supervisor on, lieutenant and captain on. Two, three, and I'm being generous for three. I can really recall two. And I'm not saying this to say we shouldn't believe women. I'm not saying this to say that, but I am saying that this is a problem and it destroys men's lives. And this is why when you talk about with these different rules about being alone and sequestered with ladies and all that, man, this is why. And listen, you talk to female detective sergeants or female detectives, they'll tell you the same thing. Particularly those who are retired, they'll tell you they're more cynical about sexual assault than men are. And I've talked to them. Yeah, these women are all lying. Lady detectives will tell you that. You find yourself a lady retired detective, or one who was in the detective bureau, or who specializes in SA cases. They'll tell you they will tell you this. Not all of them, not 100%. I think 99% is probably a high number, but I guarantee it's a high number. And he was a cop in Arizona. I'm way over in Connecticut. I talked to New York detectives. Listen, it's bad. It's bad.
It makes the ones who are legitimate victims afraid to say something and make people not believe them. Mm-hmm. This woman is a perfect example. She made up a whole scenario that she was beaten, and then it ended up being nothing.
Do you think that, in your estimation, what if you had to assign a percentage? What percentage of reported incidents of assault, let's say, are unfounded?
What do you mean? That they're not legitimate, or we couldn't get to the bottom of it?
They're not legitimate.
Of assaults with
essays.
Yeah, okay. I would say 80% probably, or probably illegitimate.
And what do you think are some of the motivations typically?
Getting caught. One girl, it was a crazy scenario. She was cheating on her boyfriend. She climbed up on the second story in the room to cheat. Boyfriend come home, catch her. She started claiming that she was getting taken advantage of. So the boyfriend pulls out a knife. The guy puts his hand up, cut his finger off. And they ended up finding out after she admitted that no, she was cheating, and she was afraid that she was getting caught, so she made that accusation. Other young women do it a lot. Unfortunately, their parents find out that they've been interacting with men, or they've slept with somebody and they don't want the baby, so they have an opportunity to have the Plan B pill given to them for free and an STD check at the hospital. And a lot of them go to the hospital and do that, not knowing that the hospital has a duty to report. And so we show up to do the report, and they make up some fake story. So that has happened a lot of times. Or some women have regret. So they sleep with a guy, and then they make the excuse that, I was drunk, or I don't remember what happened, so they can get the Plan B for free. And sometimes they're just embarrassed because.
Yeah, so it's all of that, and I want to finish this off. I don't want to make this too long here, but I thought it was interesting. You came across this clip, and so what I did was I Googled around a little bit, and this is a story here. Let me try to get this whole thing in here. Let's see. Yeah. So this is I don't know this publication. I don't know this publication. But anyway, National Sexual Violence Resource Center. And this might be a little bit old here. publication date. I just did a quick Google around, so there's a lot of stuff on here. This is probably not the most up to date statistics, but this is just something that I have, and I'm sure that there's more stuff up here. False reports moving beyond the issue to successfully investigate and prosecute non-stranger sexual assault. So they're trying to say, okay, these false reports. I thought the title was interesting. Okay, these non-reports, but let's move beyond that and let's get to how we really investigate, these cases of all that, and which I can certainly agree with to a certain extent here, right? Let's move on beyond that and let's really try to help the people who are actually being victimized. And so here's a publication that they did. Yeah. The same people. NSVR, misconceptions about sexual violence and inconsistencies about the way reports are classified reflect gaps in definition and understanding of false allegations. This overview provides facts about the sexual violence and reporting dates, right? The majority of sexual assaults, an estimated 63%, are never reported to the police. Now, that's probably true. And those 63% that aren't reported are probably the true ones. Probably the real ones. So I had a phone call there. I had to pause it for a second there. So yet when survivors come forward, many face scrutiny or encounter barriers. For example, when an assault is reported, survivors may feel that their victimization has been redefined and even distorted by those who investigate, process, and categorize. Right. So again, this is the police officer thing, and there have been lawsuits about police departments not taking these types of things seriously, and that's why they will never ever criticize. But I'm talking about false allegations, and we certainly want to get people who are out there victimizing people, whether it's random strangers or date situations, or in the case that I had, in which it was a spouse. They were legally married spouse, So they do all this type of thing and all that. So false reports. So I guess there's some different definitions you can go through here. Unfounded reports. False report is a reported crime to a law enforcement agency that an investigation facts it proves never occurred. Basic report is one in which it determined that the incident does not meet the elements of the crime but is presumed truthful. I don't think that we use that in law enforcement, right? So what Brandon Tatum was talking about, as far as the substantiated claims and all that, right? So from a law enforcement perspective, we had to not only prove that it happened, but prove that this person did it, right? So it's not just enough to say that somebody said something. You have to do a rape kit, medical. There has to be signs of forced physical violence generally, or some type of medical or not medically or drug-induced incapacitation. And I want to say this to the young men out there, right? If I am not a big drinker. It's April 2024. I haven't drunk all this year. I'm just not a big drinker. But I'm going to tell you, as if you're a man and you are with a woman and you are engaged in alcoholic beverages with this woman, you engage in sexual activity after that, you're putting yourself in danger. I would not do it. I would not do it. Especially if she starts coming on to you because she gets a little relaxed. Alcohol is a depressant, which means it suppresses or suppresses your not only your nervous system, your reaction times, but your cognition, your judgment, things like that. I would not take that. I would not go along with that. So anyway, that's just a little bit about that. So I thought it was an interesting type of thing. I just wanted to put this out as kind of a PSA. Be careful and all that. So until next time, much love and peace. I do plan to get more of these police-related things out. So if you have a story you want me to cover, please hit me up. Much love and peace.